You know that stomach-dropping sensation right before you hit send on a risky email to your boss or ask someone out on a date? Your finger hovers over the button. You freeze. That hesitation isn't a character flaw. It is a biological reality. To your nervous system, a harsh no feels identical to a punched gut. If we look at an fMRI scan, the same brain areas light up for social rejection as physical injury. And as this chart illustrates, when people recall a recent rejection, their cognitive performance metrics plummet. Subjects score significantly lower on IQ tests, short-term memory, and decision-making abilities just by remembering the event. This intense reaction is a leftover survival mechanism. In our hunter-gatherer past, being ostracized from the tribe was a literal death sentence. You couldn't survive the wilderness alone. Social pain became an essential early warning system to keep us in the group's good graces. The connection between physical and social pain is so literal that researchers found treating one actually treats the other. In a clinical study, participants who took a standard dose of acetaminophen, regular Tylenol, reported significantly less emotional pain after rejection than subjects taking a sugar pill. What keeps us paralyzed today is essentially a survival instinct out of its depth. Our hardware is forcing us to treat perfectly harmless social encounters as if they were lethal physical threats. That biological glitch was actively destroying the career ambitions of an entrepreneur named Jia Zhang. He realized his intense fear of hearing the word no was stopping him from taking the risks necessary to build his business. To fix it, he designed a radical countermeasure. He committed to a self-imposed experiment where he would actively seek out and receive one rejection every single day for 100 consecutive days. He was testing a psychological principle called habituation. The theory is that intentional, repeated exposure to a feared stimulus will strip away its emotional power, dulling the panic response over time. Zhang's experiment poses a fascinating question. If we run straight into the fire, can we actually override a survival instinct that has been baked into our DNA for millennia? Zhang started his experiment with low-stakes, deeply uncomfortable requests. On day 3, he walked into a fast food restaurant and asked the cashier for a burger refill. He got the no he expected, but he also survived the experience. He escalated the stakes to highly public scenarios, like asking a flight attendant if he could commandeer the airplane's microphone to address the entire cabin of passengers. The peak of his experiment came at a Krispy Kreme. He asked the employee to custom-make 5 donuts linked together to look like the Olympic rings. To his absolute shock, the employee agreed and actually made them. Through these interactions, Zhang realized that a no was rarely the hard stop he had imagined. It was often just the first step in a dialogue. By deliberately flooding his system and desensitizing those pain pathways, Zhang turned his paralyzing anxiety into a tool for success. But actively courting rejection is not a universal cure. If applied carelessly, this technique carries severe psychological risks. Psychologists warn about rejection sensitivity. For individuals with past trauma, or for marginalized communities who already face systemic discrimination, deliberately seeking out rejection can act as emotional self-flagellation, reinforcing feelings of exclusion rather than building strength. Even in the general population, excessive rejection is destructive. Being repeatedly turned down clouds rational reasoning and reliably triggers massive surges in anger and aggression. This chart compares leading risk factors for adolescent violence. A Surgeon General's report found social rejection is a more potent trigger for violent behavior than poverty, gangs, or drug use. Notice how the risk from social ostracism eclipses those other variables. The pain of being left out is deeply destabilizing. Intentionally seeking it out can deepen psychological wounds rather than building resilience. The difference lies between seeking humiliation for its own sake and persisting through the rejections that naturally occur on the path to a goal. Authors like J.K. Rowling faced repeated, agonizing rejections from multiple publishers before finally finding a home for Harry Potter. Early in her career, Oprah Winfrey was fired from her first anchor job and told she was unfit for television news. They didn't actively court humiliation just to see how it felt. Their resilience came from pursuing an ambitious objective and refusing to stop when the emotional pain hit. Adopting this mindset begins with seeing a no as a single data point, one person's opinion based on their own biases, rather than a final verdict on your value. It also means looking at your current goals. If you are living without any friction or rejection, you are likely playing it too safe to actually grow. You can build this resilience in low-stakes scenarios, like asking a friend for an awkward favor, to train the brain before you take a career-defining risk. Ultimately, rejection is just an ancient biological alarm system. Once you understand the glitch in your hardware, you can acknowledge the fear, ignore the alarm, and ask the question anyway.